want to welcome both Will Smith and Mary Brown to our program today. Will is a HubSpot trainer here at Impact. Mary, who's been on the show before, is a website strategist. And I want to talk to you both about expanding the way that we think about website purchases. And I think traditionally, the idea of e-commerce, the idea of people buying through a website has meant kind of narrowly defined durable goods. Like you buy books through a website, you buy clothes through a website, things like that. But I want to talk about how that's changed in the past few years. And I want to start by just throwing that out as a sort of opener to each of you, how you and the clients you work with are broadening the way that we think about purchases that can happen through a website.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think part of where that comes from, right, has to be Amazon and the way Amazon started. And, way back in the 1990s, when it started, it was like books and CDs, right? That was the thing. And it has, what can't you buy now? What can't you buy is actually the question I would say. Online now, and certainly when we're talking about the last few years, the pandemic has changed that even more, because when we were in a situation when people had to stay home for a time, we were suddenly challenged with, okay, let's find out what we can buy, because we still have to buy things, right? That didn't stop. So we really learned, I think it forced people to broaden their horizons about what could potentially be done online and on websites. And that was a huge shift. I think 43% e-com sales in the first year of the pandemic alone. So e-commerce shopping increased by 43%. Which is huge. It's incredible just in that first year of the pandemic. So that has certainly moved things along.
It's so funny because big society changes like that prompt changes in shopping habits, and those don't go back. They might backslide a little bit, but that change stays. Will, from your perspective, how has e-commerce broadened and broadened and broadened over these last, say, decade?
Well, Mary brought up Amazon, and one of the places, and of course, that's where most people go. One of the places that I see a big change is actually in flexibility, the places that you can actually shop. So if you're streaming something, you see a commercial, because not everyone has ad-free, or if you see something that you're like, oh, I wonder if I could purchase that. If it's not on your regular go-to Amazon, for example, there are a myriad of places that you can go. So, when Facebook first started, it wasn't for shopping. It was just for, connecting and all that good stuff. Same thing with Instagram. But now not only does it have its own dedicated button, here's the marketplace, but you can make purchases off a simple post that just say, hey, do you like what this person's wearing? Get the look here. And I also see it in live. So that's one place in the social sphere, but also socially, you can get that live. Whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on Facebook, anywhere, you can have these live experiences where you have a host that's interacting with the product and showing the product. This is like, QVC 2.0. So you're still having that live experience. So, and that's simple. Now, I haven't gotten into this, but like you could do augmented reality. There's virtual reality where you could just be immersed in that whole experience. So the flexibility in the places that you can shop have really just exploded.
Right. And I think it makes sense that anyone who's selling anything wants to remove the barriers between the customer and the purchase and make it as easy as possible. And those platforms, some of which you mentioned, also incentivize that same one-click buying, keep them on the platform, allow them to buy. Your phone pre-saves your credit card, like everything can happen so fast, which I think leads to quite a lot of impulse buying at times. And something I was talking to one of our colleagues about recently is just the very notion of what we would call discovery platforms, a social media platform. We can encounter something that we didn't even know existed for a problem we didn't even really know we had and buy it instantly. And I know I've done that, thought I didn't even know I needed this, but now I need it. And but, click, and it's coming to me. And that's a pretty amazing ability for shoppers, but also for retailers to put yourself in front of an audience who might be receptive to what you're selling, and to remove so many impediments that they can buy it instantly.
You brought to mind QR codes on commercials on TV now too, which is amazing. You're sitting there, you're watching a show, commercial comes on, and then it's a split screen, and then you have a QR code. So on my phone, I can just pull up my phone, scan the QR code, and I'm taken to the mobile site from the comfort of my couch. I mean, that's remarkable.
I love that point that you bring up, Mary, because I think, John, you're saying the same thing. It's the speed. It happens so quickly. And not only that, we have like this hybrid of in store. So you could purchase it online and then go to the store and pick it up. You don't have to wait for the 3-day shipping, curbside pickup, same day delivery. In fact, Instacart, you can say, I want this, and have someone else bring it to me. Right. So the speed in which you can get something, I think a lot of companies are now using AI to really react to this expectation of the customer that I want it now. So they're using AI to improve their operations, to improve their logistics, their supply chain, so that they can react to this desire that we all have. Let's get it now, right now.
Totally agree. And I'm putting the cart before the horse, I realize a little bit as I'm saying this, but in order to sell anything online, for anything that we're talking about, you also need a very solid return policy. You need to kill buyer remorse, like make that not a concern for someone, because people are so comfortable buying things sight unseen. They're so comfortable buying them in a single click because they have that assurance on the far end that I'll just buy a couple pairs, I'll buy a couple, different outfits, and I'll just return the ones that I don't want, or returns the ones that don't fit. All of us have kids. I do that all the time. Let's buy 3 pairs of shoes. It's going to be easy to return the ones that don't fit. So whenever we talk about this, and we're eventually going to be talking about selling some non-traditional items over the internet, you have to build in a buyer experience that keeps that potential for buyer remorse at bay, so that people don't, it's so easy that they don't end up hating themselves and hating you for being stuck with a product that they don't want.
It's true. And especially when you consider the incredible range of things like we were talking about that you can get, and things that have big stakes, right? I mean, I could buy a wedding dress without trying it on online. There's a lot of emotional stakes there. But this to me is one of the most amazing ones, that you can buy a car. Like, I can take my car and I can trade it in online, just trade it in, have someone pick it up and get a new car brought to my house. I mean, isn't that the ultimate when you think about the sales experience and the icky sales experience and not wanting to deal with salespeople and doing everything without salespeople? I love you all. You are wonderful salespeople. So much love for you. Your job is not easy, but yeah, I mean, we have like the used car salesman whole stigma there. I can do it, again, sitting on my couch to buy a car. And John, like, what if you buy a car without driving it? That's a huge purchase, but people are doing it. And you have to be able to say, okay, what if they don't like the car? What do we do? There is a lot to think about.
Give them a 7-day trial, and I think Marcus talks about the CarMax effect, that you offer them the ability to return it with no questions asked for 7 days or 14 days, whatever it is. And virtually none of them will. Once you commit to a purchase, you're emotionally attached to it. You're not likely to return it, but giving them the option to allows them to feel safer putting in that credit card, making that purchase. And Mary, in response to what you just said, I just want to share this statistic from Gartner that 33% of all buyers would prefer an entirely sales-free sales experience. And for millennials, it's even higher, 44%. I've seen other research that suggests it's somewhere around 50%, but that buyers often don't want to interact with salespeople, or they want to interact with salespeople as far into the buyer's journey as possible, or completely on their own terms. And I think that's another interesting way of having this conversation, that it might not be a complete purchase online. Marcus talks about a sort of swimming pool tool where you're not going to buy an entire swimming pool online, but you're going to take those first few steps, be able to customize it, be able to picture it in your backyard with augmented reality or anything else that allows you to get further along, to dictate more of the purchasing experience before you have to reach out to a salesperson. So this doesn't necessarily have to be a black and white answer where it's all online or all with a salesperson. It is much more fluid than that. With all that said, I would love to hear, because Mary, I know your team builds pricing calculators, self-selection tools, things like that with our clients. Will, I know HubSpot is rolling out more and more tools to make it easier and easier to have AI-powered chatbots, other things that allow people to customize the way that they buy. So Mary, I first want to go to you, and I would love to hear your perspective, just some of the work that you do with clients, what they're coming in for, what we solve for them, and how they realize that this is a challenge worth solving, like why one of these tools on their website might help them and help their customers.
Yes. So to speak to that point first, part of why it's so important right now is because if you don't, you will be the only one in your space who doesn't. It's just the way things are going, where everything is on demand, everything is self-service, and you will be left behind because it's just the trend. It's the way it's going. And you don't want to be the one who doesn't offer that, because when people are vetting different companies or different swimming pool companies, oh, one has a configurator, I get to pick out my pool before I try. That's a way better experience than this other one where someone has to come out to my house first before I even understand what kind of pool I might be interested in. So it's beginning to be much like, video years ago became the thing where if you didn't have video on your website, you were behind. These tools are absolutely going that way. So for what you brought up before about, different types of tools at different phases, absolutely. We do a range. So in Web World, self-service or self-selection isn't just buying. It can be a tool that takes you farther into a site, farther into the experience. So for example, if I go to a website, a self-service tool could be a drop-down that says, what are you interested in solving, based on a problem or a goal set? So all you do is you put in what your problem set is, and it takes you to the service or the page, right, that you might be learning more about. So that's kind of a high level, very easy. We would say it's easy level of self-service where you have control over getting yourself where you need to go without talking to the person, right? And saying, this is my problem set. What service should I be looking at? So those are very cool. But then there's the lower in the funnel, the pricing calculator type of thing. That's one that is becoming really, really common, right? We've got to talk about pricing on our websites. We know that that's hugely important for building trust and transparency. So having a tool, we have a lot of clients who will say, oh, our pricing is so variable. We can't talk about pricing because there's no one price. The calculator gives people the control to put in their specific requests, any kind of features that they want to add to get a range of pricing. So even if you aren't comfortable with saying, oh, there's one price, that's a really popular self-service tool to give people that idea of what their range could possibly be, which is huge. It's also interesting. So assessments are another type of tool where for something like marketing, it's how well are you doing, right? Impact has a really popular assessment tool where we say, how well is your sales and marketing doing? We're doing those for a ton of clients because you don't have to get into something like pricing. It's just giving them a sense of where they need to improve, why it's important, how you can help, that type of self-service tool. But even things like, I'm talking to a client right now, one of the things that they sell cranes, and we can build a tool for them that helps you. It's like a configurator type of tool that helps you figure out what kind of crane you need, right? Like, we're not talking about pants and pant sizes. We're talking about cranes. This is a huge purchase. This isn't even a car. So anything, it's really, I would put the challenge out, give me an industry, give me a company, and I bet you we can come up with something.
That was a great answer. That's fascinating. And I love what underwrites all of that is the idea of being able to say, how can we, as opposed to here's why we can't. If there's any part of your purchasing decision that your customers make that you can help automate, that you can help feel customizable through your website, everybody wins. It helps as soon as that person starts, and we see it with Impact, with, as you mentioned, some of the assessments that we have. As soon as someone starts filling that out, they are emotionally invested in us, in the tool, and they see value in it. And all of a sudden, there's a connection form that's, in my opinion, more robust than just filling out a form or something, or following us on social media. It feels more interactive and therefore more connected.
The last thing I'll say about that is not only is it great for developing that kind of connection with a person, but it is hugely beneficial to your sales team, right? Because you're collecting information. Yes, it's great for the user. We want to be helpful to our user, but all of that information they're putting into the tool allows your team, once they get to that point, if they need to, because of the type of service you offer, they could have a phenomenal conversation based on all of that data you're getting from the tool to say, hey, I know that your budget is this. I know that your main concerns are that. So you're giving them you're empowering them to have better conversations than they ever would have with just a, how can we help form field, like you're saying.
Yeah, that's a great reminder, because I think, and last thing, and Will, I'm anxious to come to you in just a minute, but I think that something that marketers have long known is that the more forms or the more fields you put on a form, the less likely it is that someone's going to fill it out. And you can get a lot of the same information through some kind of interactive tool. People are not going to feel as wary or suspicious. And this sounds like I'm sort of twisting my mustache and trying to trick people into giving us more data. But yes, we want more data because we can have, as you said, Mary, a better sales conversation if we know going into it more information about what they're looking for, what they're struggling with, et cetera. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Just to pause for a second, Mary Brown is a website strategist here at Impact. Will Smith, who we're coming to next, is a HubSpot trainer. You can reach out to both of them through LinkedIn or through our website, or through our general contact us form on our site to hear about the way that we train businesses like yours to grow. Will, I want to turn to you as a HubSpot trainer and a HubSpot expert. How does the HubSpot platform, the HubSpot tool set, allow people to make their websites instantly more interactive? Maybe not coding in the way that Mary is talking about, but there are tools that allow them to build that interactivity into their site.
Well, Mary, I think you just queued me up perfectly with your last statement about data and data collection, because that is so important to not only source that information so salespeople can have a conversation, about me, which of course everybody likes to have a conversation about themselves and what they're dreaming of. But the question is, where are we going to keep all that data? Where are we going to store all that data? And of course, HubSpot for me as a HubSpot trainer, it's no surprise, that is the tool of choice for me. And so one of the things I'm most excited about, John, is the Commerce Hub that HubSpot released just this past September 2023. And really, it is somebody in the halls of HubSpot must have heard that statistic that you were mentioning about 33% they want a sales-free experience, 44% even higher for millennials. Somebody must have heard that and said, we need to solve for this. And I really believe that even though it's a new tool just released in September, Commerce Hub, HubSpot Commerce Hub is the solution, because it really puts all those tools under one roof. And so you'll be able to create, like we were just talking about, create a landing page that goes directly to your payment link, and your customer can check out right there. If they see what they want, they can click on it and make the purchase. And of course, with Commerce Hub, you can use HubSpot payments or Stripe payments to collect that payment, and you receive your payment. Your customer receives whatever service they signed up for. Everybody's happy. We can easily move on. So the creation is really easy. The second part of that, I would say, is the management of that. So if this is a subscription, for example, it's so easy to manage it just right there inside of HubSpot. Maybe they started with a starter subscription and it's time to upgrade. Terrific. We can go in there. Our operations or salespeople can get into HubSpot and make that adjustment really quickly and easily. And don't even get me started on automation, because I could talk about that for days. The automation of all of this could just keep going and making sure that your payments are you're being paid on time. And if they're overdue, we can automatically send something out if you set it up the right way with a workflow. In fact, one company that we worked with, they were able to collect over $1 million just using the Commerce Hub. And this is in an industry that they do custom built, kitchens, remodels, and things like that. So this is an industry that's like, write me a check, and it's slow. Or, oh, sorry, I forgot to do that. Or, I decided I wanted the upgraded cabinets. So being able to send off a payment link and collect that, this organization was able to collect over $1 million that might have been either lost or they'd still be sitting there waiting for it. So that's $1 million benefit to me. That's how I see it.
I just want to remind everyone that you're talking about and we'll get into the Commerce Hub in a minute, but you're saying this is released within a month and a half ago, because we're recording this in October.
Yep.
So that's a lot of benefit really quickly.
Oh, absolutely. And I didn't even get to my favorite part, and that is data. That's the next steps. Because once you're collecting all this information, you're looking at the information. Now you can report on that information. And with the report, with this just commerce reporting alone, HubSpot is sourcing data from your marketing initiatives, your sales initiatives, your website visits, your marketing emails, your service initiatives, things like that. It's all under one roof. So now you can easily see trends. You can easily see maybe some opportunities that you hadn't seen before. And because it's all in HubSpot, it's all under one roof, you can immediately take action. So to me, that's the real value, being all under one roof. You can report and see how you did, but also you can then take that information and say, and here's what we're going to do next.
Connected to that, Will, I'm imagining that you're also excited about SMS marketing that has recently come out with HubSpot, so you can contact people through phones. And like everything we're talking about is just, it's making it easier for customers. And when I first came to Impact, now about 5 years ago, I remember people telling me I didn't really know what HubSpot was, that HubSpot was great. It did all these things, but it wasn't great for e-commerce. That was its sort of Achilles heel. And I think what you're saying, Will, this is a huge step where HubSpot has filled in a gap. But I think there's also, connecting that to our broader conversation, is the idea that everyone's in e-commerce now. Like everyone is selling in some way online. So it's not just the Amazons or the equivalents anymore. It's, you're selling pools, you're selling overhead cranes, you're selling, any number of things online. So, or you're selling, or you're automating parts of the sales process. So the functionality that HubSpot is now providing should make a difference for way more businesses than just the traditional e-commerce businesses. Okay, I'm going to put you both on the spot as a sort of a last word here. We are at the end of 2023, which has been a roller coaster and a warp speed jump into the future. I want you to futurecast for a minute and put us 12 months ahead. I was going to say a few years ahead, but now it feels, I don't know, a few years is too much. Is too much. But a year from now. So we've just had HubSpot make this big announcement. We know that AI is revolutionizing the way that customers and businesses interact. Considering the trends that we're seeing right now, and Mary, I'll go to you first. In a year, what will we be seeing more of? What will we be seeing less of? What's different a year from now in terms of the way that people interact with websites?
Well, we know since we talked about the statistic about people wanting that touchless buying experience, that the way people sell and the way you have to meet people where they are, right? You're going to have to do that. So in a year from now, we already know that traditional sales is going to have to change radically. So more, I think, conversational marketing, I think is going to see a boon of that as well, where because that allows you to meet people where they are. So smarter chatbots, AI chatbots are going to be big instead of just the basic bot. We will now have ones that can reply to you in better ways, be able to have the ability to search more things. I think that's going to be one of the huge things that's going to come out in the next 12 months that we'll see.
I would definitely agree with Mary there. I think AI is really going to make a big difference in the way that I think we as humans will accept it, that we're talking to an AI for customer service, that our logistics, the reason why I can get this item faster is because AI is assisting it, or AI is setting up better conversations through personalization, for example. So, there's a lot of doom and gloom. People think that AI is taking over. And my thought is by this time next year, AI is going to help us actually be better humans and connect better through businesses, through these, e-commerce experiences.
Great answer, both of you. Great conversation. Will Smith, HubSpot trainer here at Impact, Mary, website strategist. You can connect with both of them through our website or through LinkedIn. Thank you guys both for being here today and for a great conversation.